In this video, we're going to take a look at selecting polygon components. Since polygons can have so many different components, we need a special set of selection tools. I'm going to start with a primitive sphere, and let's just zoom up to that. And you can already see I have my modeling toolkit open. And to activate that, if it's not already there, you can click this icon right here. So that turns it off. And then we can just click that again to show that modeling toolkit. And that also brings up the modeling toolkit tab. Now onto my model. Let's just zoom up here a little bit. If I right click on the model, we get our context sensitive marking menu. I can see my vertices, my edges. But what I want to do here is go to this option, multi. And what that does is it takes me into a multi-component selection mode. Now I can select any component that I want, whether it be edges, vertices, or faces. We can see when we move my mouse over, we get a pre-selection highlight for any component that we're hovering over. So it makes it very easy to make complex selections. We'll just stick with edges here. When I click, we get a single selection. But if I go and double click, I get an entire loop. Now, this will work whether it's with faces, edges, or vertices. Now, it does operate a little bit differently if we're doing faces. So when I select an edge, I get an entire loop. And again, we can go in either direction there. But if I double click here, the entire model gets selected. So if I want to grab a particular face loop, I need to select a single face and then just move to an adjacent face and double click. And that will get me the entire loop. And again, we can do that in either direction. Now let's say I don't want an entire loop, I just want a section. Well, we can kind of do the same thing. If I select an edge here and then say, well, I only want to select over here, I can double click on that second component. And that is going to select the shortest path between those two components. Now, another thing we can do is expand our current selection. So for instance, if I select a single face, but I really wanted an entire area, instead of having to click all of the individual faces, I can choose one and then choose Shift and the greater than symbol on my keyboard and expand my selection. Choosing the less than symbol will reduce my selection. Those are the hotkeys, but you'll also notice that we have a select menu. And if you look under polygons, you'll see that we have our marking menu options here. And then down below, we have our various tools that we just looked at. Shortest edge path tool, that's the same as clicking a single component and then clicking on another component to get everything in between. And here's grow and shrink, greater than and less than. So these are all our familiar functions that we've just been talking about through the actual menu. Maya does have some intelligence here. It knows when things change. So for instance, if I grow my selection again and we just take those faces and delete them, that gets rid of those faces. But what it has done is it's opened up a hole in my model. Now, when I go and select an edge and double click, I'm no longer grabbing the edge loop that we saw before. Now I'm getting the entire border edge of the hole that I just created. So Maya knows the difference here. And this is great because we often will have to do certain things with holes in our models, but this goes beyond just a hole. This is also selecting what we consider a border edge. So whether it's a border around a hole or it's the border edge of a model. For instance, if I were to create a polygon plane, and we'll just move that out over here, and let's go to that multi-component again. My border edge here goes all the way around the model. So this isn't a hole, this is a border edge. We do consider these the same thing. This is a border edge on the plane. This is a border edge on my polygon object or my polysphere. Let's go back to my sphere. Another option that we have here is to select using constraints. I'm going to open up the Polygon Selection Constraint Tool options. It's a little strange how it works. First, when I open it, we can see nothing has happened here yet. And inside the menu, it says constrain and it says constrain nothing. Well, what we're doing is actually constraining our selection parameters. So what I want to do is set it up so that everything that I'm about to select will be affected by these constraint options. So I'm going to choose current and next. So therefore, anything that I'm about to do will be then restricted. Now, still, there's nothing in this window just yet. And the reason for that is because I have nothing selected. So I'm just going to select some faces. And actually, I'm going to switch just to face mode. And let's hit Q just to get rid of that move tool, just so we have our select tool on. Now I have properties here that I can adjust to constrict or constrain my selection. Right now, all of these are turned off, so there are no constraints on my selection whatsoever. And let's grow our selection here, get it all the way up to there so that now I'm including triangles and quads in my selection. And let's say I only want to select triangles. So under order here, we can just click on triangles. And now you'll see, hey, that constraint is active and it's just displaying the triangles. But this does more than just that, because now if I try to go back in and select any quads, it will prevent me from doing so. So if I just want to see all of the triangles on my model, I can turn this on. I can make this active because it's going to be the current selection, and then anything else that I select here after, it will only select the triangles. So if I just draw a big marquee around my sphere, you can see that it's selected those there on the bottom as well. We could also turn this to quads. And again, my next selection will be based upon these constraint parameters. And so now I'm not selecting triangles. All I'm doing here is selecting quads. There's lots of different options in here that you can go in and play with. One particular that I just want to point out before we move off of this is the random feature. We can set a random value, a ratio value, and get a variety of different selection. And you can see that every time I do a selection, it randomly chooses the faces of my selection. Now, the tricky part here is that we want to shut this thing off before I close this out, because you can see down at the bottom, we could choose close and remember or close and reset. If we choose close and remember, this will stick with us through the rest of our Maya session. Not good. We don't want that. That's going to be really confusing for us. So I just want to hit close and reset, get back to a normal state, and now I can select as I normally would. One last thing here is that we also can take a selection and convert it to something else. So if I select a bunch of faces, but want to convert to vertices, what I can do is hold Control, right-click, and go to vertices. And this brings up a different marking menu. And now I have vertices. Now the thing to look at here, again, holding Control, right mouse click, look at the menus here, and you can see we could do contained faces or two faces. And a couple of these marking menus are listed as such. So if I go to contained faces, it's going to select everything within that region. I just hit undo there. If I were just to go to faces, it's going to select all of the faces that are being affected by whatever that selection is. So some of those vertices crossed over into outside or outlining faces, those get selected too. So make sure that you're looking to see which one is which. Finally, if we want to deselect from a selection, just hold Control and click. And you can see we can take away from what we currently have selected. Also, if you want to invert your selection, you can hold Shift and draw a marquee around the entire object, or even just a small section, and let go, and that will invert it. We can add to our selection by holding Shift as well.